Cade, has he given you any indication with that last year of eligibility remaining whether he'll use that and stay?
Yeah, I think his intentions are to come back and play next year again. So that'll be great. And it's a long road in front of him, but it's a lot better than it was 30 years ago. That's for sure. A lot more predictable, and he's got a great attitude. He'll work hard at it.
Has he already had the surgery, or is that planned?
No, it'll be sometime next week. They normally let those things settle down a little bit. If there is good news, it's a clean injury. It's not, sometimes they can be a little bit messy, but it looks clean. That's good. And he's been fighting some other stuff too, so at least maybe this will give him a chance to just get totally healthy again.
I have to imagine the team was expecting maybe bad news on Saturday. Now the news is confirmed. Just how does everyone kind of offensively move forward there?
You have to move on. We didn't have any time to think about it Saturday night, obviously, and I thought that was one of the highlights of the game is the way the team just kept playing. Deacon stepped in and did a really nice job. And not a big surprise. We've seen great improvement with him in the last 8 weeks, but Cade's missed a lot of practice time. I've referred to that. So that's helped him move forward a little bit. But, during the game, you certainly don't have time to reassess or think about it, and I don't think our guys really have done that since then. The worst part about football is the injury category. Easily that's the worst part about it, but it's also a reality. And when those things happen, everybody's got to keep moving, and you're empathetic towards the people that are out and affected by it. But everybody else has to keep moving, and it's an opportunity for somebody to step up and get the job done.
How much does this open up your offense? Because it appeared you were a little bit limited by what Cade couldn't do running the ball, whether it was boots or naked bootlegs or anything.
Sneaks. Yeah, trick plays like sneaks. Yeah. Yeah.
The push and all that.
Yeah.
But how much does this maybe open it up a little bit more than, although it did look like he was starting to be able to do that?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. The last week and a half, 2 weeks is the first time it looked like he was back to being close to normal. But it's hard to get healthy in season 2 when you have, things that are kind of significant. So at least in this situation, Deacon's fully healthy, and he has been working hard. He's really improved a great deal, and I thought he played with good poise out there. First and foremost on Saturday, made some good decisions, but played with a lot of poise. And now the trick is to keep building on that. So yeah, he's got a different skill set certainly, but he's fully healthy, and I think he's more than eager to keep playing here.
You got a guy in Joe Lavis who won you a game in the bowl. How ready would he be to step in if something was wrong Saturday, and how long a leash, I guess, does Deacon have this Saturday?
Well, first of all, Deacon is our starter, and then secondly, Joe has basically he's in the same situation Deacon was last week, so he's one play from going in. And the challenge for him right now, he's missed a lot of time too. It seems like to be a recurring theme here, but missed a lot of time in July and August. So he's playing catch up in some sense, and he's working hard every day. And the fact that he did play in December, practiced and then played, I think gives everybody a little bit more confidence. Certainly, it's always good when you've seen a guy out there perform under pressure. And but now, he's trying to play catch up and get back in the race here, and we're going to need both those guys. So it's his job to be ready to go.
Back in August, where did you see Deacon improve where he had to fill in for Cade?
Yeah, it's both those guys didn't play last year, and Deacon it's been a couple of years really. So that's probably the biggest thing for him is getting in games and actually playing, or scrimmage situations, those types of deals. So it doesn't get much more live than it did Saturday, and I thought he did a good job managing things and making good decisions for us. And now it's all about continuing to do that and take steps forward. And this is a big challenge. These guys play a different, unique type of defense. So it's not the same as what we saw, but it's again another challenge. And every week's gonna be a challenge. I'm sorry.
For Cade, as you mentioned, during the summer, he spent a lot of time not really doing full practicing. Now that he's injured here, is he sort of back to a similar sense of filling in where he can in practice, or how are you keeping him busy throughout the rest of the season and I guess for the next 9 months?
You're talking about Cade?
Yes.
Okay, so the first thing he's got to do is he's got to get that knee addressed, and that'll be the next 2 weeks here, working on that. And then when he comes back, it's a long, lonely road for any player that's injured. Luke's going to go, or is going through the same thing right now. There's the rehab part of things, and Mother Nature's got to do their part and all that. So that's pretty much regimen, and you go as fast as your body will allow you to. But I think it's pretty obvious right now, depending where we're at here, mid-October. By the time he gets his surgery, I can't imagine he'll do much in the spring. Other than, maybe he'll be throwing a ball, things like that, but he won't be practicing. And then hopefully he'll have June, July, and then August full speed to go. And if there's good news here, hopefully both legs are healthy and he's able to be the Cade McNamara he wants to be. So that part's that part. And then the other part is, once he gets back here, and he's doing it right now, he's out there every day and, in the huddle and helping the guys out, staying engaged. And he'll do that as soon as he, finishes the surgery part of things. And he can be a immense help. He's played, he's got experience, he can be a good voice for the quarterback room and then also help his teammates. And I know he's committed to that. I mean, he got voted captain again this week, so I think it just gives you a little bit of feel the respect he's already garnered from everybody on the team.
With Deacon, whether it be in the spring or leading up to the season,
Mm-hmm.
did you ever rip a throw or something that kind of opened your eyes to his
Yeah,
arm strength?
as you saw, he can throw the football. Like that's not an issue with him, and that's his strength. So yeah, I mean, he's made some good plays, and he's made some that weren't so good, but that's an experience, and that's how you learn. That's how you get better. And so yeah, he'll make some good throws. He can throw the football.
Yeah, I know it takes a village to raise a quarterback, if you will. With him, he's got people from his past, whether it's Keller Christ or Bud, and then you also Spencer and Cade are here, and Brian. How do you help him move forward, but not overwhelm him with too many voices and everything?
I was going to say that village might be too big. I mean, you don't need 5 guys to coach one guy, and I think basically when it gets down to it, there's the voices are pretty much filtered out, and the biggest thing is him just trying to take in what he needs to take in, and each week it's a different challenge, it's different preparation. These guys play a much different style of defense than what we saw last week. There's always some commonality and parallels, but it's a different flavor. So that's a challenge we're running during the game weeks. But he's done a great job. He's really attentive. He's a smart guy. He works at it. And that's probably the key element for everything. And I think he's hearing the right things. And it's just a matter of every repetition is going to help him, and certainly game reps will help him too now.
We've talked a lot about that arm strength. We've heard a lot about it. Is there anything else in his skill set that really sticks out to you?
Yeah, we don't tackle our quarterbacks in practice, but I'm guessing he'll probably be a challenge to tackle. It's going to take more than just sticking your hand up there. So at least that's probably a good thing. And just the mental part of things. He's really, I think he's a lot more comfortable. Just with every part of this thing, even calling plays, which sounds pretty simple, but a lot of people do them off cards and things like that. So it's a little different repertoire for him.
How much does
there have been many quarterbacks that you've recruited that have a water polo background?
No, yeah, that's a fair one. Zusevic was a volleyball player, which I think was a first too. So two areas of uniqueness for anybody.
How much does his mobility help the offense and what you guys want to do?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a little bit easier to have more flexibility. And as I said earlier, I think we're getting there with Cade too. So it's just helps. It helps if your quarterback's not a stationary target back there, and that makes it a challenge. It makes it things that are hard seem even harder sometimes. And I went through that in '93 with a veteran quarterback. Unfortunately, it was at the end of his career, and it's tough when a guy can't move back there. It's really hard. It's hard on the guy. It's hard on everybody. It's hard on the guy.
The first thing everyone said about Cade was he's a great leader. Do you feel Deacon is stepping into that role? How do you feel the guys are responding to
Yeah, totally different personality. Totally different personality. But I recognized him in the locker room afterwards for next man in, stepping in and doing a great job, and just keeping us moving forward. And the players were just really responsive. He's very popular with the players, and again, night and day difference in terms of personality, and that's one of the beautiful things about this sport. So yeah, he'll do just fine. The guys want to play for him, they respect him, and they're all pulling for him.
When you look at Purdue, they look different than Illinois did last year, but they're like very, very aggressive. 17 sacks. That seems to be a 5-man line, even though they're like a 3-3-5 officially or 3-4.
No, you're right the first time they're 5-man line. Yeah.
And the way they come, very, very aggressive. What kind of challenges and pressure does that put on your offensive line? That's kind of had it's growing pains.
Yeah, no, it puts pressure on everybody. They're they've been very successful. I'm talking about Coach Walters going back to Missouri. We got our first really good look at things that year, 2020, and the last 2 years at Illinois, and it's the same defense basically, but yeah, they're always tweaking, innovating, doing some things, and sometimes it'll be those 5 guys rushing, other times it'll be 3. So they mix it up. They do various coverages. So there's a lot of moving parts. And it's a challenge for everybody, really, to move the ball. We're going to have to really be clear on what we're doing, and then they force you basically to block every guy up there for the 5-man rush, basically. So it's 5 guys blocking 5, and either they're moving a couple guys, working them in combination to get somebody open, or just one-on-one blocking. So it's a challenge every play. It's like however many plays, 60 plays of just you got the guy, this guy and that guy, and they kind of do the same thing in the back end a lot too.
What's the status of Nick DeJean and Connor Colby this week, and maybe Bo Stevens all kind of?
Yeah, Bo's back in there. The other 2 guys are a little bit dinged up right now. We'll see how it goes, but take it day by day here, and hopefully all of them are ready.
Okay, what's missing in the run game? You feel like as a line coach?
Yeah, I mean it's a complex equation. Offense is more complex than just saying this, and this. But the fourth quarter the other day, at least we looked like we were back, kind of going to the way we need to go. And a lot of variables involved. It's certainly going to help us. This is a tough team to run the football against because of their front and the way they're designed. But we're going to have to find a way, and we're going to have to be patient too, because there's a lot of ugly plays when you play a team like this, and then hopefully you can find a crack or a crease and pop one through there. But it's not like you're just going to run the ball 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards. That's not realistic.
What stood out to you about Jamari over these last 3 weeks?
Jamari?
Yeah.
He's just back. First of all, he's back on the field, and that's a positive. It's great to have a senior, a guy who's a leader on the field. And probably one of my impressions is not a positive, but he's trying to do too much. At least that's common for guys when they come back, and he's missed a lot of time. Again, you think about last year. So I think he was too anxious, maybe pressed him a little bit, and I might be able to say the same thing about Cooper a little bit earlier in the season. And my experience is, at least when you start to try to press or try to force things, usually it doesn't work. You just got to play the game, and then eventually plays will come to you, or they won't. But most important thing is take care of your spot, your position, do it as best you can.
You guys have obviously dealt with a lot of injuries on the offensive side of the ball. Kind of a 2-part question, but do you feel like you have enough firepower to kind of get back on the right track, and if so, why?
We'll find out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not that smart. We'll find out. But we have to be optimistic. I tend to run that way. But yeah, I mean, we don't look the same as we did on August 1st right now. Some of that will get better. Some of it's not going to change. So it really doesn't matter what the circumstances are. We just got to find a way to be productive and make this team be successful. And right now it's just about this week, and they'll worry about next week. But again, a positive is, we never knew, none of us knew what Deacon was going to do when he got in the game in a critical situation. He did a really nice job. So build on that, and then any of the other issues, same thing. And the guys that will come back, or at least have a chance to come back, that should make us a stronger team as we go. That's it's kind of the beauty of football. Every season, beauty or agony, every season you just don't know how things are going to transpire. And a big part of it is how do you react to the circumstances that are available or in front of you? What are you going to do? And so that's I think the best thing that happened Saturday night. We found a way to win the game, and now we got to turn the page and try to do it again this week.
Nick Jackson, just very interesting player. Just coming, in June, his journey has been interesting. It looks like he's more comfortable each and every week. I think he's had 4 different defensive coordinators. Can you just put in words how difficult that is to be that productive when the personnel switches so much amongst coaching, then getting here in June and seems to be quickly picking up what you guys are trying to accomplish?
Yeah, I've never been a big advocate for change. Just change. I think at some point you've got to figure out what you are, who you are, and then try to stay on that path. But you got to make adjustments. That's not the point I'm trying to make. But it is hard on players for a couple of reasons. Learning systems is difficult, and then learning personalities. There's a lot more goes into it than just learning what the plays are. But you're working with people, so coaches to players, players to coaches, and I just know this. I've had 3 boys play college football. I'd rather have them in a stable environment than an unstable environment. If the world was perfect, because it does help. And so yeah, he's been playing catch up. But the good news is, when he got here, he's a 22-year-old or 21-year-old, 23, whatever he is, very mature, very intelligent, and football savvy too. He's a football savvy guy. He's played 4 more years than a high school player. So there's a challenge there, but he's also equipped better to handle that challenge, if that makes sense. And with each week, you see him, having, I think he's more confident, more decisive in his actions, and it's always a good thing. But that's one of the challenges with new players in general. But at least he had that experience, in his case, too much experience probably, too much exposure. Yeah.
Kirk, I know this might not be your area of expertise, but
It's probably not.
All right. 2 non-contact injuries for Cade. One in August, one. Do you have any concerns about maybe the playing surface on the turf versus grass? I'm not sure if you know anything about that one way or the other, but just any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm totally a novice in that regard, but I would say I think that's probably an overstated. I know it's probably a little bit more of a big discussion item with the NFL world, but I have not looked at that and all that. I can just tell you from experience. I'm old enough to where it was AstroTurf every day out there in the '80s, and I'm talking about the old AstroTurf, which is kind of like this carpet right here, about the hardness of that. So I've seen it all. It's the same way at Pitt in 1980. Every day in Pitt Stadium on old AstroTurf. And somehow we had a pretty good team, and not many guys got hurt that year. So I don't know the answer to that, but I think sometimes that stuff gets overplayed, and in some cases, and this is particularly true. It seems like the last 10 years, it's unofficial, maybe 20. A lot less. In the old days, it was knee injuries because guys fell on guys. Now it's a lot of times it's just making a cut or a planting, that type of thing. So it's hard to predict or quantify what causes injuries. Really. If you do stupid stuff, yeah, I think we all get that, but sometimes it just happens.
With some of those,
Yeah.
with some of those issues up front, is there any sort of growing likelihood that we see DeJean Parker this year, or what's the status with him?
And what issues exactly are you talking about?
Pass pro issues, running the ball, just not putting up numbers that you probably would like to see.
Yeah, overall, I thought our pass pro did improve last week. Thought that was better. DeJean's kind of the same category we're talking about the other guys. Like right now, he's working hard to get back. He's missed a ton of time too. I think I've covered that. Starting with spring ball, so he was playing catch up when he got here in August, when we started practice in August, and he's working hard every day. Tremendous young guy. Just talked about Nick. Same thing. DeJean's a great guy. So he's working hard every day. You never know when you're going to be in there. You just can't quantify that one either.
Would you authorize a package of plays for Cooper DeJean on offense? Is that something you would authorize?
That's a discussion, a thought, and believe me, we've all had that discussion. You also got to, in baseball, a couple of weeks ago, I think I mentioned, I read about a guy getting pulled after 7 innings, throwing a no-hitter. If you did a pitch count on Cooper's getting a lot of snaps. So I suppose you could do it, but you don't want to compromise what we've got defensively right now. That's a consideration. He's been a pretty big factor on special teams, and then. What I'd love to do is have 5 of them. I wish you had 5 brothers, if they were quintuples or whatever they call it. That'd be great, but not the case.
From his size, do you see any parallels between Deacon and Chandler and Stanley? I mean, the 3.
Yeah, those would be our 3 biggest guys. That's probably right. I really haven't thought about it, but yeah, without click, but yeah, it's probably a good starting point, those 3 guys. And, Stanzy wasn't a midget, but he wasn't quite in that category.
I meant Stanley.
Yeah, or did I say, Stanzy and Stanley? Yeah, okay, they're all big guys.
Any parallel between their games aside from their big dudes with big arms?
We'll see. We'll learn more as we go along here. I don't know enough about Deacon and game action yet to really, make commentary on that.
Kirk, you talked a lot about Cooper and what he brings, but he's kind of getting to the point of dynamic athletes that have been through Iowa. I mean, is he ascending up a ladder of something that maybe we haven't seen a whole lot of offense or defense and special teams?
He, in my opinion, is rare in any state in the union right now. Like, you put him on any team in the country, he would be unique and rare. And he played that way last year. I mean, he had a fantastic year. And I think probably the most interesting part about the whole thing is, I think he played 5 games 3 years ago as a true freshman. So you could say we were stupid for doing that, but, it's just the way it worked. He just ascended as the year went on, and, so we put him in there, and the best play I remember was the one in the bowl game where he chased down the guy on that short pass, long run deal. To me, that spoke to who the guy is. Like, he came from that side of the field and chased him down to the other sideline, just inside the 10-yard line. So it says a lot about the kind of guy he is, and he just does things. I hate that word natural because there's a connotation there that this guy just goes out and plays. a lot of the stuff he does is because he knows how to play. He's smart, he studies, he's in the right place, and then, you know, some of the stuff on the punt return stuff, I helped him out on a little of that, gave him some tips on, you know, how to be a better return guy, you know, but no, in all seriousness, he just does a lot of things just really well, really smoothly, and, you know, it's just, yeah, it's pretty unusual. It's unusual to have a guy with that kind of skill set, and he's not the same as Micah Hyde, but like Micah was the same kind of player too. Talking about playing a guy two ways, like Micah could have been a great receiver in my opinion, but he was pretty damn good defensive back too. So, and a great return guy.
Do you still have,
Yeah.
do you still have an analytics meeting weekly, and if so, do you ever talk about tendencies or anything?
Yeah, well, no, tendencies are just, I think, both sides of the ball and special teams, we all track that individually. Yeah, definitely, week to week. And so part of that is what you do best. There are certain things that you're going to have tendencies of doing. Like we tend to play a pretty similar front, down and down out, but you have to have some adjustments off of it, tweaks, that type of thing. And you know, then yeah, you don't want to just, you know, be entirely predictable, so you need to have a counter punch to whatever it is you're doing or whatever you do, hang your hat on, if you will. And then the analytics stuff and all that, yeah, that's usually at the end of the week.
With regard to tendencies, how often do you sit and say, okay, if we have an incompletion on first down, how often do we run it on second down just to try to get some yardage? And do you look at like percentages and how often do you do that?
Yeah, both offensive coordinator and defense coordinator spend time on that, and then so that's always part of your consideration. But the other part is games, you know, can skew. Like, you know, you take the Penn State game. You know, I mean, you're playing in a situation like that in the second half. It's pretty predictable what you need to do if you're going to get back in the game. So, you know, certain things you pull out, certain things you include. You know, there's a little bit. It's not just, you know, pure numbers, if you will.
When Deacon was talking about how when he entered the portal, he originally committed to Fordham, but then you guys came in and contacted him. What led you guys to kind of get in?
So John Budmer had an association with him, you know, from the Wisconsin days. So it was really simple that way, and you know, he was obviously interested. We were interested, so it was a pretty mutual marriage.
With
One or two more.
I'm
With
sorry.
Deacon, how much of an improvement do you think is feasible from what kind of first week with substantial snaps to second week? Now he's
Well, I hope there's improvement week to week to week to week. But you know, part of growth sometimes is going backwards as well. And I think everybody needs to be realistic on that. But you know, our hopes and expectations are he'll go out and play better this week than he did Saturday. Should be smarter. He's a little bit more experienced, but it's going to be week to week, just like any player. But he's got a great attitude. He works hard and he's practicing well. So that's all you can ask anybody to do.
Kirk, as good as Cooper is on defense, could it ever reach a point where he could help you more on offense than defense?
Well, then, yeah, you got to factor in how's that going to impact our defense. And I think we saw that. We've seen that in the past, and it was pretty dramatic, actually. So we're typically, you know, you don't have players like him. You know, if you got a great player, we didn't have another Bob Sanders on the shelf. And they're totally different players, yet they're both impactful players. And so, you know, if you move this guy over here, you know, what are you going to do over here? You always have those equations to balance. So it's great to talk about, but it's a little bit more complicated in terms of the impact and the ripples that it causes, or you know, the impact it could have on several places. So,
What,
deal.
Yep.
Mhm. Yep, sure.
Tyrone Tracy, I think I recall maybe his freshman year, you put him at running back. And
Yep.
Was it Tom Moore who said, "Oh,
Practice field.
yeah"?
He made a cut, and I remember looking. My eyes caught Tom's, and Tom was standing in eye shot of me, and both of us were thinking the same thing. So it was just, yeah, you got a good memory. That's a good one. Yeah. I had that same thought watching him on film here. He's doing a really nice job, playing very well. So anyway, okay, thank you. See you guys.